giving us such a beautiful day. Today looks so nice. The early going. So hopefully in the next 15 minutes, many more will show up so that together we'll study of Him. Yes, we have been looking at resolving conflict in the church. And last week, we considered a few more potential sources of conflict in the church. We also attempted to answer a question raised by Brother Solomon regarding the selection of Jesus' apostles, the diverse nature of the men he selected to follow him and to do his work. Today we'll bring our potential sources to a close. Whatever it is, we cannot exhaust everything. We'll jump over next week to look at examples of conflict in Scripture and how those were resolved. So, because sometimes because of work, because of our nature of things we do at home, sometimes when we study, you come, you ask, then you see so I normally go over what we studied in the previous week, just to remind us. There was that question that we attempted to ask that bordered on why Simon the Zealot and Matthew the tax collector, who were extremists, who were enemies, who could never meet in terms of their ideas, why Jesus decided to include those people in the church, in his ministry. And we realized that it's all about Jesus, Yesu, ono ena ye no, and nia openo ena ose ye na ochire as an example said bitter enemies atamfo pa somewhere along the line almost converge. They can come together and have a common understanding given the task ahead of them. And so in this case, we come together because we have to come together. Because it's not about us. Because it's about Jesus. And it's because it's about our aim of getting to heaven one day. Now, we said that you don't need to like me. You have to like me, but if you still don't want to, Jesus says you need to be among them. Jesus says you need to be in this congregation so that all of you, one body with different parts, together will lead to growth, and therefore this church will grow. And I gave an example about the Noah's Ark. And we all remember how many human beings were in that ark, and how many animals. Perhaps we don't know the number, but several animals dwelled in that ark, floating on the surface of the storm or the flood until it all subsided. And it was for one aim, because they were being saved by the Lord. And so we have come here. We might have our differences, but we need to bury those, because it's not about us, it is about Jesus, and we have to learn from the number of apostles and the different ideas that they had to work for the Lord. That way, we'll be able to reach the goal that is necessary for all of us. And no, and you can't, want some. Now, from there, we looked at power struggle. And we just said that sometimes we become so entrenched in the position that we've been put in, and we do not want to relinquish power. Or sometimes somebody says, I'm the only person who can do that. Beside me, nobody can. And see, so who can say, Ubi, esi one man, or say no. And now, so the Nisi Waka, no, it just say it will never work out. Simple things. Then we'll just be knocking heads. If who say, who here, say be a voluntary, and to say, yeah, the AC one man, young boy together, na yen to me, and yet, and say, and no, yet the basis for, and talk away, if you see, yeah, Hindi, a whole crime. Bema, sorry, no, we have to make sure that we do that. One thing, it costs away, and the churches of Christ, and I keep mentioning the structure, because everybody has an idea in the Church of Christ, and and so for who here, now elder who here, you bet to me, I say, Ejumano. Obia Bible class or Canadian. But when you go to denominations, it's structured from the top. What the Pope says is what those down there will do. And there is no conflict. It will be, but they can come down and say, this is what we want. From Rome, and that ends it. But even selecting leaders to lead the Lord's church, now yet to come. And he said Jesus was not accepted among his own people, who accepted him. The same way, yes, sir. If you are at he's worth a ton. Just say, obey to me, but yeah, I dream on. You will never be brave, I say, Editia, and Tina Adana baby. We have brethren who left us. To Georgia, it's not how much they can teach, it's not how much they can preach, but the idea that human relations, suddenly only ni pakra kasa, I will bet to me a pull and crofaba. Or why idea say bet to me a mommy and call me chrome, mommy and call Ghana and Kowa, selected a deacon. No question. In this church, no. Unto me your deacon. Unto me your leader. We are fighting over it. We went to Chicago, selected a deacon. We went to Virginia, he's a minister. Oh, 2 weeks ago, I witnessed one of our brethren, very young, selected an elder. He saw me, thanks for coming. But the moment to select it, it's the aim of the leadership to make sure, say, elders and deacons in the near future. It's part of it, maybe the next 2 years. But Masabre Nemra, near share ideas now you knew where there be Sabre and some past struggle. At the tea and tem, a man sorry ni na if see a heaven so every kind. So let us note that it's a serious thing that we have to I'll say get cutting it out. Let's cut it out of a way. Lack of trust. We don't trust each other. Engineering, where the man, I'm thinking the app coming, where engineering. Now, we got a Susan, now we all come out so much and we talked about that last week. It's just a way of bringing our minds to what we did last week. But for today, we'll continue with a few of these sources or potential sources of conflict. Now, back on NSA, there's interpersonal issues between brethren. If you are many brasolo or how be away in town. It has nothing to do with the Lord's work. You come to baby or baby, and I may be so. Until hey, nah, yeah, sorry them. No way to. Maybe be as a lover saw you know. Try to pull him down. By pulling him down, and you all know, but the lost church suffers. And in Tokan Kitinkitia, a walk ye moon. Say, a way you move or ye fee, and I say, Hanum never started ye. We have to drop it. A source of conflict, we know it, ye nim, but for God's sake, for the growth of the church, for the sake of going to heaven, we have to drop these issues. Some of them very trivial. But you know what? This is the best church. If he has oh, you more been on that date, not more. Presby. No, you're not going to heaven. We are quick to do that. Scripture says, "Ye near that when it's so." Now be whom near that will be there so no way. And see, the fact said, "Wo how ana sebe wo bone ana intokwa ana de share mu many nim ana obi nim no." Doesn't mean you are not sinning. But we dwell on those that are in the open. And we talk and crucify people. And they find it difficult to come and live, worship with us. And see, let us make sure, says Nyama we, Yebeyi, Efi, Yabrabo. Look, universal. And yeah, you hang kwan. And that's why I said we'll look at a few examples in scripture. I say, a prayer no more hono. Years to time, and they see how for the crowd. Now they were fighting. And it's inevitable. We will do this will happen. But as you see, they're finding a way to resolve those issues when they come up. So our interpersonal issues, let us bury them, because it's not about you, it's not about me, it's about Christ, and it's about heaven that we want to get to. The next point, how we think. So it's about thinking, it's about personality, and it's about our behavioral styles. Thinking, personality, and our behavioral styles. Now, okay. Minim personality, minim said I'm a but as I know that Nisu. Thank you. Good student. You too. Nini Pesu. Okay, and Kokudi is not you. Kokudi or no Beckham, no. Oh, come for today's then be an hour city. Personality is defined as the unique combination of thoughts, of feelings, and of behaviors that make a person distinct. It is shaped by both genetic and environmental factors. Nipa suno ema udanso ewo nipa kuwa omahiem. Na normally no obi wo ha yede wo no onya fi abusua mu. genetics ne mama ne papa obi oha or you so outgoing because sana ne papa na ne mama tie. So obi oha we be ebia we nya fi baby ana based on environment entity a we nya e bi kura na se ne yesi entity ne ye hye so hey nti waka hye nti tebia obohu. That person is being formed by the environment. Their personality is defined by the environment. So, talking about personalities, I said it's defined by one thought. It means how you think, your attitude, and your opinions. Because of senior me dream, you know. Media se me ma bebe shiampo na se me ka contribution a be hye na metiatem obi nso de very cool kwan a ye tete me fae kwan a anasa de amenya fi ma wo for her dating back I say we just send the grandpa was na the grandpa tie. So that's how we think. Now your feelings could be your emotion or emotional tendencies and moods. Obi wa ata bia na aye mudi. O ma na aye like it again. No be say say. Now how about our behaviors? Our actions. How we act. Now, if you bring all of this together and we get to know each other, and you get to know, say, me sana metia, you know how to deal with me. You know how to handle me. And this is a metia no nata mbia me dem to odin na my ya. E on bia am fa ne wo kan ne kasa kra ye na no so abeda ne ntopa na me kra me ne kasa biom. Get to know this petty stuff. I'm not going into details, but the minor stuff we've got to anywhere one. You be who a client, you be fast, you be behaving. You have a question?
Yeah. No, I'm just adding up to what
Okay, just a second, please. Use the microphone.
Sometimes, so any personality, it was said usuya, and yet. All the time and yet hereditary. Sometimes yeshia say you can customer say and tesukoko will be enum and so ye jaiti fufu. It doesn't mean say usuba na wuyi nedino. Only panin to me yin nedini bincho, but washia how ebi a no papa ye hey and now mommy. But one only sooner to be sober. Say me correct one also kakra say a funny say where the son what here me to me no and yea there was set ultimate share baby a word no ultimate share environment now one and how to behave.
All right. Here that I say. And I think that's where we are coming.
Okay.
Because we want to learn to coexist. I see it to me, tina boom. Na you to me, man. So I got a note that says these ideas that I'm talking about, your feelings, your thoughts, your behavior in particular, they remain constant through life, but evolves over time. Then suddenly we are under one roof. The unknowns are going to surface. So you have to adjust. We have to learn. But then when I get to know you, I need to be and say me boof sen fubium. Because nim says I net here. E do out to me dane na enko. Ntu be dan ube jano. And I obey dan until you say me asori no me hu na dia na me de ano ahyɛ ne mu asotan ana. What we are trying to stress is that the way we think about things will be different. The way we behave. You see me, I come out here, me for my maybe I may hugging for me chiao. The next person on yes sir, and yes I can recommend on the only na baby or bitch out. Barbara solo the yes sir. Say if you get to know say na nipa ni sutia, you don't fight. That should not be a conflict. That's all we are saying. But we bet me a dino. I done it and na ye. Don't be too hard on that soul. Because together we are going to heaven. There's one thing I am can say. As I say in BSC, we are all in the same canoe. We are paddling. And mantra and no be brain. But we who say boat na corner this so dan say use machine and say you don't need to do that. But if you have 6 people in there sitting at the edges and each person is supposed to paddle, one year wa famo there that boat ends up sinking. So you say we are all in the same canoe. We do our part in order to leave it afloat. Send me a yen sinking. Enti say me ye na say fufuhwe na say ye na wa prompt me. Chale ye old ye no. Na ye move. Enti ye besi ye hu say eye ekwan a faswa. Wetin bi waka e ba ye. And we want to make sure say we are not saying say wa say be wetin wa de dem bia ye moody. Ye bia na de wo ye. And no crowd pamu ni perfume. You don't want to open up. Try as we did. You know. Okay, no way, Jai. Now way, Jai. But men fat and no and show Emma and no see heaven. Echo. Do you have any other question? There was Yemuna one that groups. You buy a personality now. There are those, we call them the architect or the strategist, known for being analytical, creative, and logical. We are Ubekano. A person of Chirasi, a person of Fifi, more of a say, or and just now, how are you then? I get you, I'm kind of Ubekano. And then the card will be Papa Kane. But a bit sooner, no, that's somebody's personality. So if you know, you don't have to deal with that person. There are those we call the protagonists. It's right as lawyer, and farmer, they are why they will clench. They are warm, very sensitive, and very outgoing. There are people like that. Don't fight me over that. If you know, but they say but the one who say over time, only ni partner, who to me who ni sue, now what to me, I then only do it. Those are the protagonists. Do you fall in that category? Do you? Do you think you are that analytical person, that creative human being? So I say, I don't know to me. Every count to me, so a program, the end of I don't know, baby. I see some of our kids. If you are a programmer, we will say I fly video 2 so it's from our kids. I think there was time we your friend, sister Kua, back in the back, very young, or no, yeah, we in the mind. Because I'm with him computer, I'm with me. They are helping to build the church. The person I'm from where we have architecture, yeah, paying for yeah. No, we've gone past that. Are you that person? Oh, there are others we describe them as the healers, or the mediator, and the idealist. Who are Bribiano, almost a being Koya, and the animal, the count, or person bantam. No, Bebois. Healer, not as say what or a doctor, but can some M1 come and tell you that those people are among us. So what we are saying is that so these differences in personalities should help us rather to grow stronger. It should help this church to grow. And say, and no more pulling it down. One said, "Me we no then they are not wedger. No money account." That's a lot of them that we cannot into me and come as them. But the conclusion of the whole matter is that we are different, and yet we have to learn to live together in the church. One, for the church to grow. Two, for the sake of Christ, for His work to spread out into the hinterlands, and three, that will get to heaven. Yes, Lord.
The daughter is saying, say, be a connect the 2 hour day at the Tobohonma or ye. Will ye be? Now, say, maybe question, they say. Be a hano. Say, Obi Pesa will ye be. Nakuma may be a solemn may be a ye here, be say. Ebi akunya ye here. Yes, sir, maybe a member who is a safon ye here, I deal with say. Me more safona money, Namato. Tis a metra, Naman can't as a fona. Yes, sir, me talk. Our bra men can't tell as a phone because on me who say be as a phone here. And a man can't tell pen movie and me a talk set me the brass upon. Yes, sir, me talk I dear no for my own will, nam the brass upon an answer was semi bought as a phone money and son amato.
But you're not episode one. Maybe or not the end of the no. Or chat. Are you saying this? Only I be who said ye here. One day, when you back Sunday, I think say where Iman or Taba has Saturdays. Or by an ACR. Is two. Oh, who said a saffron here? And he or the buying in EJ. And he bet me answer in 2 folds. I need your input. Bet me answer in 2 folds. One is if you really know, say we need it. Now it's brain it's good. There should be no problem. You are very proactive. Two, say what person we na say who bisa obi. Rasoro. Person me talk, me say so ni here my. But me say me talk. Me to be chair sorry. So a good idea. And then you went ahead. You kind of advice for the mama now. You went ahead and you bought those. Very good. But you brought it to the church. And take it and it near machines say you want and fat. Fortunately, we are in the US, so you can return them. And one way will be say, we are not too sure. You have to ask. And mainly, if your elders are, you can go to the elders or you go to the just one of them. I have this man say here will oh, okay. And then not here this one. Well, a movie or one when you say idea now, walk to the brand. On no Jamon, and get to say color, no, you're white. And now, I quite so be or call Kumi I never change near or net color here green. But yeah, now wouldn't say me green, I get green, make color yellow. Well, now I'm seeing a few from penny 400 say, first, you take it and you say thank you. And then you say okay, next time, no. And now I'm yellow. And see, so what Tobana you here, there's nothing problem. No, that's you, that's your personality. But idea so to me, view be from a technical person, then you certainly will have to talk to somebody. But one can Otoba, Nasa Amphitia. Again, we have to resolve that amicably. So they are blaming. Men are maybe used to. Now, say a pair crime for frozen near Cossisa. So there should be no problem. If you ask, if you tell us before you get there's nothing wrong with it. If you don't, there's nothing wrong with it. Nobody is wrong here. Near not or how but any says I don't know the buy and I didn't talk about it at the that will be the issue. Sister,
What can there?
Macarena, oh me sorry. Baby Anka, we kind of different because the way I make Bacano, I'm not sure who I'm with you.
And
The same thing. Okay, so that's it. Okay, Farmer Bra Francis, man, why? Here we are now, yeah, back, sister. Bra Francis, baby.
Okay, I'm Mr. The Okaino, the concern. Let me give you a typical example, because Ghana, because Ra has a church. It may quite a number lady bit you, only is mark. Now, on me bon command or castle, a for every year mark on the system.
Okay.
And the Okaino, it dawned on me, so okay. But it's made me a tomorrow. I mean, this is what actually occurred to me. And the point, one of the leaders, no one can stand so. But you said, let it be casting PA system, I confirm Bibia. I'm willing to buy and also, oh, bro. And go for real cry, I am marking inside them. On better. They mono, baby on one, and yet secure place into the try to build a place. Shall someone die on willing to know, I'm for some we are. Then they will buy those things so that they can secure property. And you know, they are country, okay. And they make me up boys, come with better PA system. I'd rather give it to them to help them to build so that I'm are very secure. And you know, like you are saying, what they almost said, we need the camera. But and you make one say, here more than the camera. And you say, oh, better, Nick. And who could say, oh, and you don't come a person Toby. Oh, no, be discussed. No, oh, sister, Anna, brother, why are they? You can support in that area. That will be very beneficial to the church. Then you be a better. I make a say for so, but I'm once upon a said the own here.
Thank you. I think that settles it. Okay, yes, sister. But your focus should be said, and so say a didn't talk about sorry. Yeah, and I was going to say something, but Kaza.
The Emma may be a question. Now, some one, a man be a say, you better a dear was up as I see her. A man pen for this top boy. Into me, I know a hammer, and I may be say, so will be a nya or penwa. Na se bi kula no se adekro ne yen hia no eya awo se maka se ebi ade we de yen hia na mba ya de fofora enzo me hunu se ade no maka se mba ye no still an ye nyai aho enti me eya ade a e ha me se bi a me ye bibi a eno e pull me down se be ye sa ade because my tribe back am ye enti no because me ye bibi a mentimi ye enti no sa ade no mo me hwe ne ye so bi ye bibi a Mama and the Pacron say, I didn't hear. Mama and the Pacron who said, oh, I did was said in here, they no. In here, dear was somebody may wear my. Some got a moon here, dear, and as I said, the Pacron I'll be king down. And make how I
yeah, in me about it. Yes, that's what I say. And they see and say, Guabem. If you want to speak to God, they say you speak to who? And from speak to the wind. So right now you are speaking as someone working, you can't leaders in a better. But I think say we don't want to know exactly the item. I don't want to mention for their sake, but I'm aware of what you are saying. I'm very much aware unless it's different. And I think say when that came, the leaders said, and we routed our idea through Grayma because the man called through Grayma. And we said, No, we didn't need that. At that time, and still, we did not. But we rather needed TV screens. And the response we had was no, and yeah, no. So there was a communication, which we have treated. There was a communication. Said, we not because to say, you know, for example, then we so another way will be resources now more say immediately here this way. I'm saying Abra Francis can no but I think the leaders responded, unless maybe I saw penny Yima and country man. He came to us and I was part of the meeting as I did with by. And he said, I'm our bemobu, ain't in the anchor, also cost yen wager. Me jina o manem near power chow. Nama enko a man moyes idea no. Say we did not shut down you helping the congregation. And all of us, we should note that you don't shut it down, but you to me create another avenue. I'm hopefully say helpful. And indeed, we have the screen sitting here. I have why not they are to and you know, bia you really na more than I'm a person way no. Will let you do.
No question.
Oh, okay, this is our question. Right, I saw a penny myself, yes, sir.
I don't know.
Okay, because yeah, brother, not but you better find out but the
TV na some na make a
okay.
na make a home, yes, sir. TV no not scanner a one. It's me to TV, it's me and the Bianca. TV na a man scanner.
A man toy. Okay. Okay, so let's just say I think there was a disagreement here now. Between even the ladies. I think there's disagreement between the ladies because Baku say I'm a man yet. It is all cancer group no I am a man yet. Baku so say, oh, I am music and and it's because we advise that should be our priority. We needed this. And to say, one of this kind of my and the toy, then that's that. So where are we now? Why we say any idea?
The video can on because scan not the holder, a bit of holder. But the idea not a bro size scanner, a better TV, a TV that you born at. Okay. It's your first for Bianca Hundi. Okay. Jenny, I can get discount from the camp. Okay. The first camp for Bianca Hundi, it's me tall. Okay.
Okay. Until our church room, so we don't have to. Now we are not so. We're on the same page. We are on the same. What you said? Yeah, I'm so sorry. This is how it should be. And so says a shame near can say be a nunti, yeah, near bibium. I'm not saying that's what you are saying. But the tendency to do that, to behave that way, it's so high among the Ghanaian congregation. Yes, Apenima, 5 minutes?
Yeah, 5
Okay, 5 minutes. Yes.
I'm listening to Sabbath. You near my no. Omakasa, my idea, Omoboy. Now, originally, no. Na pulpit na issue. Na pulpit and no normal person.
Okay.
Emma, yeah, Emma. You kinda you pay. Aka me ba order. Can na Saturday me buy na a branet at the pulpit there this year. And as you said, what don't we have pulpit there? And another thing I hear TV. Ain't on a mobile policy and banto. And yeah, in I agree, or more agree. And yeah, they told TV. Into a sister your channel.
So in this case, Ubi anyhow pay say or ye be now you stop on and say man yet. But we replaced what he wanted to do to give to the church, you know, Ubi the mind. And Tines say and look at it for free. Internet say this is husband, this is guy. So now we are seeing parts and pieces. That's fine. We are resolving the issue and that's about it. Going forward. The yeah, enuanom, wo Yesu Christo mu. Yeah, enuanom, wo Yesu Christo mu. Se uji di se Yesu Christo ye unia. And ye minia chiamin sam muncha chiamin sam. Se uji di se Yesu Christo ye unia. And ye minia chiamin sam. I'm telling you, sir.
Me man to say editor TV.
Oh, now they want to say. Ah, yeah, they want. Miscommunication. Right, what they say? One, two, three, say. Usi can remember you. One man show. Oh yeah, the Yamiase. Entry. Yeah, branch in Pacho Casa.
Okay, I'm saying. Jessica, who said lack of communication, so
which we have treated. Okay.
Yeah, therefore we see people say, yeah, you too see on the
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Bernard.
I think that as long as I'm Canada, both Ima and Brian Chiatano. The other thing I wanted to add is that sometimes, I said there's a priority and then there's a necessity. So, if something comes right now, we already have it. We can also channel the money towards something else. For example, I have a registry in the church page. If you buy me an iPhone 18, I'll measure. If you buy me a Lexus, I'll measure. But is it a priority?
Okay.
No. Diapers, fine. So again, I'm sad to say the ladies felt that way, and from a youth perspective, I'll also maybe apologize on the church's behalf. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So resolved, and that's why we are here. Resolving conflict in the Lord. That's why we are here. If we walk out here in the C for one, you know the same. You're on the same page. And another way to resolve an issue is if you do not know, you do not have the facts, fish for it before you act. Or you have anything. A bit to me, I dangerous. Another point I want to say, another reason here, conflict way, unresolved past conflict. Unresolved. A bit of her, every bit that there be somebody did something. One pay. I was saying, 10 years later, I will see you jail to home. But you have say you jail. Baby, kitu every bar. What you say? Okune, as I say, say, oh, home talk and if it you. It can't be bizarre. If we don't do that, just the point is that we want to go to heaven. Send your man think it, Emma asafuni engine. Into unresolved conflict, one thing you do on my will look at how to resolve the problems, And he said, you have to acknowledge. When we get there, all right, sister. When we get there, we have to. I'll see it to me acknowledge here for so. And it's a one acknowledge. I won't say any part or chimu all the time. The person, even though the issue should have been resolved, it lingers because the person is not just coming forth to say, oh, me sorry, and I'm to say, so that we have to look at that one. Another problem, am I in conflict? I'm just running through the gossiping. It's key. It is sacred and it is not just the Ghanaian congregation. As a Nipa way, and Nipa wants some can be brain, no, and what a better baby, no, when you're not done to her. But we do it. James chapter 3. Yama ora solo every day. James MIA. All through. Now what we have to know is that you take a man. I will say it to me a tune and narika kakra. sometimes in Bibia, even when Shamu fire this one, we just want to open our mouth and say something. Oh, who said Michelle Saturday way no? I may file question no, because me wrap away up, me file and I'm even happy. Say it's coming from the ladies. Oh, man, show hey man. Who said Michelle Sam one and I'm Shibi. No, oh one more. Hey, now say the guy you address the power. Yamonia Jumabi. And then the next person who heard you, no, I saw no Apokana, some can say it. Don't start it. So that will be so the back. And there's something called recorded speech. Time dia will be make can be actual. Rasolo, if you say, Nyamia Duma, Echina, Mino, Echo, Hanum. Na yakokoto nyama bi ewo ho enti eto a na wa ka kire wa ye be kwakoma sister bi okay ti ono efiri ho no ene kwakudi nkomo na o say nka ye be ko eyi na yakwakoto eyi bi na ye de akoma asemesi na it's not coming directly from me but it's his reporting what he heard from me. And in that process of communication, there will be hitches. Into the intended original message, you know. Narcissism. So don't start it. We gossip. We talk about it's all of us. Let me answer enough to our kwabu. Where they are over and come on some channel for oh, dear Maca, when you're Safo on Peso. Then the next moment, obey Namunga, no, I sent to Unkaka. Any sister, you can't say, Kwapi, Shani. The person forms an idea, opinion about me. Into right there, then now, Nemen or Humia, or so you're too careful in dealing with me. If we are brothers and sisters, why should we be that too careful in dealing with each other? So, sister, the question.
My question is that, what Asafumuna Sabia, if you come in Lubinia Sema, if there is a mammy and a member Lubinia Sema. Send us again, and now say, if you me, my millionaire said, just see the side a man in I say a man, and now said, you come millionaire as a woman, no man as a
okay. It is if there's a conflict between could be two women or two men or a man and a woman.
I had the best side a man, say man. And I said, if I'm millionaire, someone else is solving problem. And I said, money, I said, my millionaire. I said, decide money.
Okay. We are going to get to how we can resolve conflicts. So, I mean, I would love for us to come to church early. I mean, in our numbers. Because when we come to resolving some of these questions that are showing up, we'll handle them. Because right now, if I say I want to attempt to answer that question, I'm say a bit draggy. Your time is so awesome. And to sister, we are adding that to the number of questions that we have here in Subway. And I believe that before I started teaching, we are commercial, they are not teaching. Because we feel that we need this lesson. We do need it. Because if you are not, you will be and now will be a TI and so, and so. A client addresses this issue. The time is now. And as these questions are coming, we are going to address them. They appeal to all of us. We should have an open-minded, open heart. Let us deal with it before him. Because you're about to resolve issues, Now, the attorney said, Sister Diana will be silent. There's no smoke with that fire. For her to say, question will be silent, she said, the bisa ebia esi, and yet hypothetical. If it's hypothetical, say, or can't Kenya, the will answer it that way. But say, it will be real and answer it. Bible number one. Now resolve sa and so on. But you best appeal to all of us. Say baby sa or what? Let us know. Say and now yam finding a very soft way of resolving those issues. Sister, Mpacho, bisa question and we'll take it. And our contribution. Mpacho, man, the microphone, ma'am.
Miss Rebbe, I saw you for. And I said, BBC, I want to be an answer. A do what physically. I saw penny or one, I saw in the name for the duo. Said BBC no more, one delay. Because whatever near a question in Abba, near the way in Abba, of BBC. Now, I'm pretty sure say, Bill swimming baby. Into say, baby starts here, delay. No, Freddie Papa won't be sent out Nassam and Sam. We will get some like a Sano Eden Tokobe brave.
Thank you. And we'll take her advice. And now, making sure said, the idea of time is of the essence. We'll keep to that. Now, if and only if the leadership are aware, and had been told, depending on the complexity of the issue, we'll go through it and we'll try to resolve it. And we're going to use our Bible to do that. That's why we are teaching this lesson. I'm concluding by saying that sometimes there are conflicting ideas or strategies. Sometimes there are unclear roles and responsibilities and goals that a given team is aware of. Now, for example, say your mama, your fancy leaders, yen mono, na said, bra Randall and benevolence for a penny. Na ubi for the other. Na said, bra Stanley, yet bra Randall ni a juma also ya. Then that brings Yemono obi or media didn't talk about. Unim say sadi we me na osemi e ba ne say na una omo frɛ wo e betumi dey talk about. But a kwame so ne be fa na resolve such a thing if we do know say we are working as a team, as together. So the president may be doing the work of the secretary and nothing and not have done in talk. Those things we have to stamp them out. Thank you all. Next week we are looking at examples of conflict in scripture. There's several of them, but we'll pick just a few and we'll look at how they resolve those problems. And Sana have a very practical way of resolving them. Now we'll look at Paul and Barnabas. We'll look at the rebellion of Korah in scripture in Numbers chapter 16. And we'll look at Abraham and Lot. We'll look at them. Now so resolve way so that we'll come really to Thank you all for your time and thanks so much for your contribution. Oh, I thought you had it.
Oh no,
okay. I thought you had your hand up. Okay. And Tinyanku Poyadama, you better ask the next one.